Attempt number 3. Um, I keep coming back to do this video again because I'm trying to make sure that I'm not overly emotional. I think that's really all it is, right? So this video is it's the missing link to how Mike and I ended up in New Orleans and how this catalyst happened in our lives that, without this happening, we would not be here. Um, and that is the death of our son. His name is Ryan Parker Kelly, and he died on December 2nd, 2022, at the age of 33. And, I think the challenge I have here is this topic is innately sad, and it is the source of intense grief. See? So, of course, I'm going to be emotional talking about it. And I thought, like, well, why share this at all? You don't have to. Yes, it's part of like the way that you and Mike got here, or somebody had asked about it. I guess I'm just kind of like, I just want to be honest with people about what happened and how. And because I know for like a lot of people, I can pick up on the comments on TikTok, right? Like, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are there. I want to be there. How did you get there? Right? Like, I understand that, like, desire to understand, like, what was your journey? Well, maybe, like, my journey would be like that. Or, I don't know, just curiosity. Um, and obviously you don't want grief to be the backdrop for any decision making in your life um, that happens in a really quick way, because it is true, like, you could make some really weird decisions when you're experiencing grief. um, but the backdrop for us is that we had the condo for 4 years in New Orleans, and we would come down. I loved it here. Mike liked it here. My other video about leaving Providence talks about how that shifted for him. Um, but when we lost Ryan, it's what you would expect, right? It's bad. It's as bad or worse than you imagine as a parent, like losing a child. Um, and you can't even imagine living, never mind like anything good happening in your life ever again. um but the truth is, and I've touched on the paranormal in other videos or on TikTok and here as well. um but Ryan is very close to me still, and I feel his presence all the time. And I think a lot of what has happened in our lives um, is a lot to do with him helping us. Um, I think in a lot of ways, Ryan understood that part of our learning to live with grief would be helped by being here. I talk about, like, time is kind of slippery here. And I think that that energy lends itself to feeling very connected with the people that we love who have passed over. Um, and I think for us, we we understood a couple of things um, as part of learning to live with the grief, and that was that you think you have all this time, but you don't. You don't have the time you think you have. We, I know I stayed for a long time in financial services, um, probably mostly out of fear, fear that I couldn't establish a career in another industry. And, none of that was true. I went on to work in the video game industry, I went on to work in consumer products. But fear drives a lot of our decisions to stay put when maybe it's time to do something different. Excuse me. And so we really learned that we don't have as much time as we think we have. And we just really need to treat the time we have here with joy and kindness. And yeah. And, Ryan connected to so many people. His service was at the Trinity Church in Boston, which is beautiful old church. And the ground floor seats 800. And it was standing room only. They were 5 deep at the back of the church. And that's because Ryan touched so many people. He loved to connect people. And if you had something going, he wanted to know, like, what was going on with you? What was your, like, exciting thing in your life? What were you excited about? And then he would try to connect you with someone to help make that possible. I can remember getting a phone call from him. He was at the airport in Chicago, and he's like, Mom, I'm talking to this guy. He's got this great idea. Can I give him your email address? Can I let him, I think you should talk to him. That was Rye. That is Rye, because he still does that. He just, he does it just from a different place. So yeah, I mean, so yes, the final piece to Michael and mine's journey here, the catalyst was our son's passing, our very deep understanding that we don't have the time we think we have with everyone. And also, I am very sure. I think I always knew this to some degree, but after Ryan's passing, it's just very clear to me that time and memory and death they aren't what we think they are. And I don't even know how to explain that, but it's not what we think it is at all. Reality is just a little different than like that superficial way that we perceive it in our day-to-day lives. And yeah. So that's the third leg to the stool, I guess, is what you would say. And I'm going to put a picture here of my beloved son, who I miss every day.